All right, everyone. I want to talk about your homework. So just a reminder that you're finishing up the basic P5 and the painting with code, where you just kind of use P5 to build a very basic design. Also, don't forget to talk about or complete the discussion on programming if you haven't already. I'm giving you guys three labs. Two of them are kind of, your standard kind of follow along type Mr. Hurwitz labs. The last one's a little more open-ended. So the first one uh is about variables. Okay. So, you're gonna download um and follow along with the lab. You are going to, write the code in the P5 editor. And then at the end, you're just going to post the URL to here. Okay. Second one's about draw, the draw function, which is kind of the same idea. Talks about the draw function and how to manipulate variables with the draw function. So you can manipulate some sort of variable with numbers over time. And then there's that. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a lab, and this one's more open-ended. So for these kind of programming labs, what I usually do is I give you guys a question, okay? Or not a question, but like a task that you have to do, okay? And then it's your job to create that. Now, there are many ways to solve programming questions. So, there's not necessarily one right way to do it. But if what you have to do is I'm going to give you a task and I'm going to give you requirements, and then you write code that, justifies that, okay, or that solves that. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to build a visual program using P5.js that makes circles randomly appear on your canvas at different sizes. Okay. I call it digital popcorn because it kind of resembles popcorn popping. Okay. You can use anything that we've talked about. This includes like any kind of P5 shape or color or whatever. You're going to need, you can use variables if you want to. I recommend you're going to need to use the random function that I just talked about in the previous video. Okay. Um, all right, so I wanted to show you, this is kind of what it's roughly, this is like the most basic version of it. Okay, so see how there's like circles and they are appearing at random sizes, okay, and random locations on the canvas. It kind of looks like popcorn, okay. Now this is the most basic, but if you want to add elements to your project for fun, like colors, or you can use text instead of shapes or whatever, that's fine. I do not care. As long as you fulfill the requirements that I'm asking for, that's all I really care. What are those requirements? Glad you asked. Well, I want a canvas that's about 500 by 500. You're going to use a function to build a shape. I use circle, but if you want to use like square or triangle or, text, you're welcome to do that. Something needs to appear randomly. Okay, that's what I want. It has to appear at random X, Y values. So every time I run the program, it should be different where the things are being placed. And they should appear at random sizes. Okay. If you want to kind of slow down the process, or like it goes pretty fast. If you want to slow down the objects appearing, you might want to use the frame rate function, which you can look up here. Another thing, and you can blame ChatGPT for this, I want you guys to write, in addition to writing the code, I want you to give me what I call a code description. The code description is like a very brief detail of does the code actually do, or because I want to make sure you're not just like typing this into ChatGPT and then like just copying the results. Like I want to know that you get it. Okay. So I want you to just kind of briefly explain what the code does. So for instance, let's say the code looked like this. You would write, I created a variable called X. I set it to 0. I'm using the draw function to continuously add 1 to it every frame, or something like that. Okay. Just so that I know that you know what you're talking about and you didn't just copy this off of, ChatGPT or some AI related product. Okay. Um, So it doesn't have to be super long, like a paragraph or it should be fine. You know, this is really just so I know that you actually know what you're talking about and you didn't just copy this. Um, what I want you guys to do is copy the URL, put it into like a text document, put the code description into a text document, save that, and then submit that. Okay. Here's some examples that other students did. Oops, maybe not. I'll fix that, but there are some examples. Looks like I'll have to fix that. Anyway, I'll show some, I'll fix those, but there's some examples where students, change colors or, played around with alpha or use text instead of, uh, that kind of stuff. Just so you understand, just here, hold on, let me pause it. All right, I wanted to show some examples. I fixed it. Here's some examples of some other students' previous work, just to give you kind of an idea of how they went about this project. So this person's playing around with color and opacity. This person's playing around with like text and shape. So just to show you, I mean, you don't have to do something like that. I'm just saying if you want to kind of extend it, you can do that. Okay.